already know it's your boy Cash, constantly achieving successful habits every day. When I say every day, every day. Let's get aligned. Episode today, value and love. Values and love. Now, let's start with values, because a lot of times we get values mixed up. We get our values mixed up with monetary and not how we live and the principles that we go by. Now, value, when we are talking about money, is the price of something or the worth of something. However, also that can mean the worth of you. But you don't want to place an object like money to be considered your value, because that means somebody could put a price on you and say how much you're worth. Or you could put a price on yourself and say how much you're worth. But for me, I'm priceless, so I don't want to put a price on myself. However, when we use value in the sense of principles, we go along the lines of understanding that there are certain things and rules that we go by in our life that keep us balanced, that keep us aligned, that keep us shifted into a forward motion, that we could understand that the things that we are doing and the things which we are doing are consistent with our values and how we live our life. I have understood that I have went against my values on many occasions, especially when it comes to things like self-love or understanding things like putting myself first, things like making sure my finances is straight before doing other things, or my relationship is at a blissful point instead of paying attention to other things, making sure my business is where it needs to be instead of spending money on things that's not bringing assets or bringing things back into my life that are valuable. And when we talk about value, we have to understand that you have to go with principles. And if you don't have certain principles to guide you in life, then sometimes you go astray. And when you go astray, it takes a hard time to get yourself or to shift yourself back into the correct path that you was on. So when speaking of value, let's understand that let's create certain values that are important to us. For example, my values I'll give you is important to me is love. That's the number one value for me. Self-love, first of all, because if I can't love myself, how can I love someone else? If you don't know self, how can you understand and teach someone else about who they need to be or who they could be if you haven't got to know yourself and understand yourself? Another value that I have is understanding is wealth. And understanding wealth is understanding that I want to be able to provide for my family the things that I didn't have growing up. And that's not just consisting of buying them things, but being able to set them up to give them the opportunity or the advancement that I didn't have. Another thing or another value that I have is being spiritual. Meditation. Even though I'm not consistent with my meditation like I should be, I do meditate daily. I try to meditate 10 to 20 minutes daily. However, I can do it more often when I feel that I'm not aligned with my true values or my morals or the things that I believe in. And everybody have different values. Nobody have the same values. Everybody have what they consider things that are important in their life that are congruent with what aligns with them and how they're going or what is successful for them. So your values might not align with my values. However, what we have to understand is even though our values might not align, we have to respect each and every person's value because those are the experiences in their life and those are the things that they feel that is important in their life. So to understand that is to understand that creating values that are true to you and not somebody else, because a lot of times we set values on the merit of what other people think, not what we feel about ourselves, but what other people think. Like a lot of values that I set before I started getting understanding myself was I was setting values that was aligned with others, not aligned with myself and the things that I wanted to do and the things that I want to accomplish and the things that I felt that was important to me, but what was more important to other people or how it looked to other people. And I had to shift that into understanding that I couldn't be the man or the person that I wanted to be when I'm living for someone else and not living for myself. Because to live for myself is to understand that I am the most important person. And to understand that if I'm the most important person, I have to be congruent with the things that are important to me. And I have to be also consistent with the things that I want to do in life. And that's understanding values. Now, with love and understanding love, we tend to use love as a word that is expressed through emotion. However, I was talking to a young lady recently that was, she's originally from Africa. She told me that she was from the Ivory Coast of Africa. And the subject came up of how often do she talks to her parents back home. And she told me she talks to them once a month. And I was like, oh, I feel like you should, especially with your parents being so far away, you should talk to them a little bit more often. Check on them, see how they're doing, just to say hello, to say I love you. And when I said to say I love you, she brought up the fact that it's weird to say I love you to your parents. And I said, it's weird to say I love you to your parents or just to call to say I love you. She said, yes, because to understand love is to understand that it's an action, not just a word. And what we've have done is took the action of that word, which I understood. I grasped the concept of what she's saying was we took the action of that word and just used it for a comfort, a feeling, a soothing to make us feel better instead of putting action into it. And once we put the action into it, then we'll see how our life aligns and becomes a little bit more what we want it to be. And that's by creating certain habits in our life. And by taking action on those things that we want to do and that we say we're going to do. That's how we show love. We don't show love by always saying it. And I'm not saying that it's something wrong with saying I love you. But the action behind it is much more important than just the word itself. So when she told me that, it gave me a different perspective of looking at the word from how we was taught the word is instead of how the word should be used in our everyday life. Because if you're taking action, then you don't need to say the word because the person already sees that you love them through the action and the deeds that they're doing for them. And you know that self-love within yourself and action within yourself is that you don't have to say often, I love myself, or tell people I love myself, because you know through the actions of what you're doing and through the things that you're doing that you love yourself because you're making sure that you are taken care of and you're making sure that the things that you are doing are correct. And how this aligns to understanding business is understanding that when you love yourself and you have a certain principles and value in business, you understand that by implementing these values in your business, and saying that you love your business, you put action into your business, and you put the love into your business, and you put principles behind your business that are congruent with what you're trying to do. For example, if you're trying to grow a business through a service, and you say that you want to have a certain amount of customers coming in, and you want to sell a certain amount of products, to be able to sell those certain amount of products, you can't just say that, oh, I want people to just want the product. How are you bringing those customers and those clients in to make sure that they're buying your product? How are you making sure that those products are created with a sense of value that aligns with you? And you're not just selling something just for the money of it, which is the value of it, but you're selling it because it's something that you believe in, that you want to promote, and that you want to give back to the community and to other people, that they can have and that they can remember you by, because it was a part of you and you gave your love and they knew that it was valuable to you. And by understanding that it was valuable to you, you put in the best quality and the best things within yourself, within that product. And it shows through your actions of the love that you give to that product. And I'm going to sign off with that. So understanding that value and love is congruent with each other. And when we give love and we give value to something, and we put that love and put those values first within our business and within our life, we can't help but to become successful and be and do the things that we want to do in life and have the things that we want to do in life. And we're going to sign off with Cash. Constantly achieving successful habits every day. Yeah. Let's get aligned. Yeah.